fighting because I did a little bit of amateur boxing. I wrestled for 4 years. I was just in my fraternity, Sigma Nu, and the president at the time, Brett Cameron, I was wrestling around with one of the Marines in the house, Mark, and I ended up submitting him with a choke, and everybody was like, oh my God, Mark, this big Marine, it was really tough, and they're like, oh my God, we didn't expect it from Jason. So he asked if I wanted to wrestle with him, and I ended up wrestling with him. He thought I was pretty tough, so he asked me to come down and train with him, and I trained for a week and then just kept going. The only time I took off was from injuries, and just went straight into it. I had 8 amateur fights. I had 2 titles in my amateur career, but once you go pro, amateur just disappears. Currently, I'm a fighter for the MFC, Maximum Fighting Championship, out of Edmonton, Canada, and it's really big up in Canada. My first fight was over in Snoqualmie, Washington. I fought a tough kid, RJ Richter, out of Big Country. Ended up submitting him in the 3rd round with the triangle. But it was really cool, it was on FSN, so in the Northwest, so that was the first one that was actually on TV. It was great way to kick off my professional career. Ups is, having great fights, performing very well. Downs, I had my one loss, a decision loss, which, a lot of people thought I should have won against Mario Miranda. He was a really tough guy. That was the only loss I've had in my 16 fights, pro and amateur, and it was kind of hard to, get a loss, but I knew that I was at least at that level of UFC competitors. My 8th amateur fight was the last amateur fight I ever had. I was defending my Montana Fight Force middleweight belt, and I fought this guy, Leo Bercier, who's a good friend of mine, a really tough boxer. He was a force to be reckoned with. Everybody thought, if I wasn't able to take him down, he'd knock me out. With about 3 seconds left, I looked low at his leg, and I threw this head kick. Kicked him right in the head. Right as the bell hit, my shin hit his head, and it just ding, 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 and he fell and hit his butt, and he was able to stand up. So the fight went on, and I went on to knock him out. And that was when I knew that I was ready to go pro.